Well, hello, and welcome back to another scary edition of Ghost Stories Told from the South. I'm your host, Stephen LeBooth, and I got some skelly stuff for you today, my friends. Alright, guys. How are y'all doing today? Sorry if it gets dark and then sunny in here, dark and sunny. I got the curtain pulled down, but it's a pretty sunny day out there, and yeah, I didn't put my curtain up in the back to keep it darker, so excuse the lighting. Yes, I'm doing a video for this one. But I hope you guys are doing great, doing good. Sorry about being late last week, and sorry about being late this week. Yeah, it's been crazy. We've had storms come in every night this week, and I usually record on Friday nights to put this on for Saturday morning. I had everything ready to go, but we had storms come in Friday, and then Friday, storms came in and blew one of my trees over in the front yard. So yesterday, Saturday, I was spending the time chopping some trees up in my front yard. So I didn't get to record, and then I was going to try to last night. We had more storms rolling in, so yeah. But it's rainy season in Texas, and this is tornado season, so this is what we usually get sometimes. So, but yeah, if y'all guys have been checking out the YouTube videos, I want to say thank you very much. Just want to say thank you, period, guys, because numbers are doing good and everything's great. It's awesome. Really, really appreciate you guys listening to the show. And I think after this one, I'm gonna start doing the summer edition. Well, after this episode, I'll see how many days of summer we have left. Of spring we have left. And like I said, when I get done doing when we get done with spring, I'll quit doing the lakes and stuff. And I've been thinking about going over haunted roads and stuff this summer. You know, because people are always traveling during the summer, vacations, road trips, so I think it'd be cool if I could find out some of the scary roads and stuff across the U.S. or even over across seas in Europe and stuff. So, yeah, I think it'd be good. But anyways, yeah. And I do have one fan out there that listens to the show that likes it, but she says my stories of the water creep her out and asked me when I was going to start doing, other stories. And I was just explaining to her I kind of go with the seasons and do stuff like that, hauntings and stuff, and I just get tired of covering houses and stuff like that all the time. So I try to break it up for you guys. So hope I'm doing a good job of that. All right. But today we got some stuff in North Carolina and Tennessee to talk about. So I hope it's a good show for you. And like I said, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's listening. It's awesome, guys. It's awesome. So you guys that listen on the audio, if y'all want to go watch the videos, remember, go to YouTube, look up Ghost Stories Told from the South, and you'll see my ugly mug. But I just want to say thanks again. I mean, because you guys are awesome. Well, I guess without further ado, we'll get some stories told. All right, so you know the routine, man. Go grab you a nice warm blankie. Get you a nice cup of coffee, cup of hot chocolate if you want. Sit down, relax, and hit play, and be ready to be scared about some of these haunted waterways in North Carolina and Tennessee, I think. No, these are all North Carolina today. All right, let's get on with the first one, my friends. All right, the first story we are going to cover today, if I can get mine. We are going to cover... No. All right, today we are going to cover a Gimli. Sorry about that. I had to grab my bifocals. Okay, the first place we're going to talk about is Paint Rock in Hot Springs, North Carolina. Whatever you're believing in all things paranormal or simply a history buff, you'll want to pay a visit to this haunted rock cliff in North Carolina, known as Paint Rock. There's more than 100. It's more than 100 feet tall. It's a 100-foot tall cliff, and it contains ancient pictures on the wall from the Indians that used to live in the area, believed to be much as 5,000 years old. But this is not at all. But that's not all. Paint Rock is reportedly one of the most haunted places in North Carolina. I'm not trying to be a jerk, but people say that about every freaking place I talk about. Nestled along a deep horse bend in the French Border River, there is an enormous rock cliff that is splattered in all colors. Known as Paint Rock, it contains ancient photographers, known as Paint Rock. It contains ancient pictures, some of these earliest forms of written communication. The pictures are symbols that are convey words, and Paint Rock is famous for the symbols found on its face. Like the face of the rock. But finding Paint Rock is another story. The historical marker seen in the image above is placed 5.5 miles away from the site, which is 7.8 miles northwest of Hot Springs. It's actually located in Paint Rock on Paint Rock Road, just short of the Tennessee border and right before the bridge pictured below. For those in search of the pictures, good luck. Paint Rock is 3 times as long as it is tall, and is technically has more than one side. Moreover, the pictures are hard to obtain because the symbols are simply to find. Okay, that don't make fucking sense. Moreover, photos of the pics are hard to obtain because the symbols are simply hard to find on such a large surface. Most accounts place them high above the rock face. This photo, known as the ancient pictures, found just right off the center of the image. Paint Rock is a majestic sight to behold. In addition to the one-lane road at the base of the cliff, there is also a trail running between the road and the cliff. History of the location and its importance of the Native Americans that once inhabited the area, combined with the likely confrontations that occurred when settlers would be part of why this spot has so many paranormal vibes, and the activity runs very high. As legend has it, in days gone by, beautiful maidens would lure men into the waters along the Paint Rock, only to drown them. Some people, especially those who were keenly empathetic, get weird vibes when visiting Paint Rock. Others hear the sounds of disembodied souls or see orbs. Perhaps these are the imprints of the past lives that lived and died here at Paint Rock. Okay, here's some more little stuff I got. And of course, Paint Rock is located near the Tennessee, North Carolina border in the small town of Hot Springs. Paint Rock has been a landmark forever, featuring one of the best examples of Native American pictures. That means like the pictures and stuff that they painted on the wall. Located right off the French Border River, the cliffs were first noted by Europeans in the 1790s. They were later they were later at a they were later a stra- a s- they were later a beautiful place to behold, uh, boarding the Cherokee land. The figure of a lone Cherokee man has been seen walking through the forest near Point Rock, or Paint Rock. I'm sorry, Paint. But what makes Stittsville the most haunted place in North Carolina is more about the most famous water it overlooks. Legend has it that its singing medians here have lured men into their deaths. So apparently, you hear voices and stuff, and they lure you out to the middle of the water and drown your ass. Point Rock can still be visited today. It remains famous as the best place in North Carolina to see authentic native pictures. Well, that was a pretty decent story. Pretty spooky. So if you're ever around Paint Rock and you hear some singing and stuff, don't go check it out, okay? Because you're going to get lured into the depths of the river and drowned. Yeah, pretty crazy. All right. Let's get this next story going, baby. All right, our next story we're going to talk about is the Great Dismal Swamp, the northern border in North Carolina. Though beautiful, the Great Dismal Swamp is also dangerous and spooky. In addition to wild animals, the swamp is deep and difficult to climb out of. Many have drowned in its waters. Mysterious lights have been seen in the forest and gliding over the water. Hunters have lost bears and deer, claiming they disappeared without a trace of blood or anything. Perhaps the most famous tale from the Great Dismal Swamp is that of two Native American lovers. The woman died before the wedding and was buried in the swamp. The man later drowned while paddling out because he swore he could see her in a white canoe. Now the ill-fated can reportedly be seen from time to time paddling on Lake Drummond together. From North Carolina, visitors can go to the Dismal Swamp State Park. In Virginia, the Great Dismal Swamp National Wild Refuge is located near Suffolk. Okay. I'm going to turn my light on a little bit here so I could see this one. Okay, the Great Dismal Swamp is one of the largest wilderness areas in the eastern seaboard. It covers parts of southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. Back in the days of George Washington, the swamp was incapacitated millions of acres of marshy land. But centuries of human habitation have disrupted its natural ecosystem. Numerous ditches and channels have been carved into the land. The earliest finished in the late 1760s, which was a 5-mile long ditch, and it's known today as Washington's Ditch. It is the longest called the Dismal Swamp Canal. It took over 2 decades to complete. Constructing such architectural waterways requires draining existing lakes and rivers and logging trees from their surrounding woodlands. As a result, today, 112,000 acres of swamp remain to the Great Dismal Swamp National Wildlife Refuge oversees the preservation and protection of this area. We mentioned the Great Dismal Swamp briefly on one of our posts. The Amber family of Jamestown, because it has played an important role in shaping of America's history. But the swamp is also rumored to be haunted. According to Native American legend, the ghost of a deranged lover searching for his dead sweetheart wanders its grounds. He vanishes. He vanished. His vanished girlfriend is often referred to as the Lady of the Lake. American Indians in the swamp long before the arrival of the colonists, the village of various tribes, including the Chesapeake and the Chowan. Sorry if I butchered that. Once dotted the swamp perimeters. The Indians would venture deeper into the marsh when they needed to hunt or fish. The adventures in the Great Dismal Swamp inspired multi myths and fables, including the sad story of the Lady of the Lake. Oh my God, man. How many freaking ladies of the goddamn lake are there? You know, I've been doing this podcast for a while. I think every state has one or two stories of the Lady of the Lake. The American Indians that lived in the swamp long before the arrival. Okay, I've already. Okay, colonials. Villages. Okay. The Indians would venture. Okay, I already said that. Wow, that one says about the same stuff. Talks about but it don't really tell about the Lady in White, though. I don't understand. Two famous poems. Huh. That's weird. It don't say why the Lady of the Lake haunts the place or anything. But if you want to go to some scary, scary places, go to the Dismal Swamp. And it's on the border of Virginia and North Carolina. Go check that out. It sounds pretty scary. So if you see the Lady of the Lake, or if you see the Indian looking for his wife that he was going to marry, yeah, pretty spooky stuff, man. I don't know how I would react if I was sitting out there and actually seen something running through the forest or walking around when I was out there and I knew I was by myself. Yeah, that would be creepy. All right, what's our second one? Okay, our third story is about the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in Buxton, North Carolina. On July 10th of 1794, Congress financed a 44,000 to be used in the construction of a lighthouse on Hatteras Island, one of the many barrier islands making up the Outer Banks of North Carolina. The area of the Atlantic Ocean happens to be where two very different currents converge, making storms. The rough seas more common, in fact. The waters surrounding the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse has been nicknamed the Graveyard of the Atlantic. The two currents, the warm Gulf Stream and the cool labyrinth current from the north, shift the sandbars, and it became increasingly common for ships to become grounded, especially at night. That would be some shit right there. Could you imagine being back in the day before they had all this technology and electricity and stuff? Be out there in the middle of the night and stuck on a fucking sandbar? Yeah, that'd be crazy. That's the lighthouse. That's why the lighthouse was constructed in 1802. Yet, despite the looming stature, sailors found the light to be quite lacking. It was often hard to see. The sea continued to be predictable and treacherous. Some historians estimate that there is as many as 5,000 shipwrecks that have either sank or have been destroyed within the region. Many lives have been lost. In 1862, the Hatteras Lighthouse became targeted as a result of these Civil War soldiers climbed up to the top of the tower and proceeded to destroy the lens and the lanterns. The new lighthouse was constructed in 1870 and it cost $167,000. The original lighthouse was destroyed in the winter of 1871. The last remains of the first lighthouse washed into the sea during a storm over a century ago. The tower, along with the keeper's modest quarters, were constructed entirely out of brick. 1,250,000 bricks were used to complete the 210-foot tower, making the new lighthouse the tallest brick structure in the United States. By 1919, it became increasingly clear that the beautiful new lighthouse was in danger of being destroyed. Over time, the Atlantic had slowly begun to eat away at the beach. By 1919, the ocean was more than 120 feet away from the base of the lighthouse. In 1935, the ocean finally crept up to the lower. Several different attempts were made to control the incoming sea, but nothing worked. A tower with a light. The lighthouse was originally. The lighthouse was officially out of commission in 1942, and it served an entirely different purpose. German U-boats had begun to attack nearby ships, so the Coast Guard used the lighthouse as a lockout station for the next 3 years. Gradually, sand was painstakingly added around the lighthouse, pushing the shoreline back somewhere about 500 to 900 feet. On January 23rd of 1950, the lighthouse was once more used to safeguard passing ships. By 1999, it became quite clear that the lighthouse was in danger of erosion sea once more. The waves were a mere 15 feet away. A local company was hired to find a way to move the entire structure to safe ground. The lighthouse, which weighs 5,000 tons, was transported to the southwest and is currently 150 feet away from the shore. Well, that's good that they fixed that shit. The Carl A. Daring is one ship that intruded a mysterious tragedy not far from the lighthouse. In early January of 1921, the ship set sail for Barbados. Several ships reported that the schooner was acting strangely and had somehow lost its anchor. On the morning of January 31st, the Coast Guard saw the ship grounded on the Atlantic graveyard. Investigating the ship took several attempts, due to a storm passing through. When a local officials were finally able to safely reach the boat, they left with more questions than answers. There was no sign of any crew members. The anchors, the navigational equipment, and the crew's belongings were all missing, as were all the schooner's lifeboats. A large meal had been mysteriously made, and it's set on the table. Oh, so they actually had a meal that they prepared and had sitting on the table. Huh. But it was left abandoned. To this day, nobody is for certain what happened on board during the... till this day, nobody knows what happened on board of the Daring. Many suspect that the ship became overrun by pirates who killed the entire crew to take what they wished. But why would they take all of their belongings? Pirates would just take shit they could get money off of, stuff for money. I mean, they might have took their clothes, but I doubt it. To this day, nobody knows the certain of what happened on board in the Daring. Many suspect that the ship became overrun by pirates who killed the entire crew to take what they wished. Others hope that the crew members were able to flee in missing lifeboats. But the extreme weather during the time suggests that the crew might have succumbed into drowning. Even if they had been able to get away. We will sadly likely never know, but many wonder if the souls of the Daring crew linger in the area, in the hopes that someday they will be found. The Gray Man. This is the story of the Gray Man that haunts the lighthouse. Since the early 1900s, locals have reported seeing a dead man wandering around the lighthouse. They have deemed him the Gray Man due to the gray tones he takes when he appears. He always shows up near the shoreline, right along the first rain of an oncoming storm. Nearby residents have stated that he never lingers for long. He appears and disappears as quickly as a wave crashes against the beach. Okay, and this is just a little story about, I guess, a haunted hotel right by this place. While the sudden apparition is frightening to some, people who live in the Haters Island have come to rely on the Gray Man as an interrupt meteorologist. So apparently when really bad storms are coming off the sea, this apparition is seen. So he's doing something good even though he's in the afterlife. Now we got a little story of the ghost cat. The other famous goat in the lighthouse is not human at all, but a dead cat. The black and white feline began appearing over 100 years ago, sauntering near the lighthouse tower each year. Hundreds of people flock to the Outer Banks to enjoy the array of beaches and the local attractions, including the lighthouse. Several tourists encounter a very friendly cat, while visiting the grounds. Not remotely shy, the cat will walk up to the visitors and intertwine its body between their legs, just like a regular old cat would do, silently asking to be petted. Visitors would dot on the cat, but anybody who tried to pick the cat up would grab nothing but air. That's crazy. You'd go down to just reach the cat, and all this, then he's boom gone. Very, 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 very nuts. Sorry about that. All right, this is story 3. We're going to go over Roanoke Island because that's one of the big stories of North Carolina in the mystery. If you haven't ever heard of Roanoke, let me tell you. The year was 1585, and a gentleman named Sir Walter Raleigh had became a cherished member of Queen Elizabeth. By this time, the Queen of England had become quite interested in the consolation of what is now North America. Sorry about that. Okay, in America. And had elected Walter to travel with a small group of villagers and begin America's first permanent colony. While Sir Walter organized the expedition, a man named Ralph Lane was elected as governor and leader of the group. They set sail on April 9th of 1585 with a fleet totaling 5 ships. Storms and rough seas temporarily separated a couple of these ships, and the fleet's primary ship, the Tiger, sought temporary refuge in Puerto Rico. God dang, that was way off fucking course. Eager to reunite with the other ships, the Tiger set sail once more, but had ran aground off the Ocracoke Inlet, which is a part of the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Okay, so they made it kind of close, but not all the way there yet. The accident damaged the ship and a lot of the group's food supplies in the process. Sir Richard Grenville, who was Sir Walter's cousin, caused much strife when the local Native American tribes and accused the locals of stealing a prized silver cup he had brought with him on his journey. Angered, Grenville proceeded to loot and set fire to the nearest Native American settlement, causing a lot of tension and hostile between the two groups. What a fucking dick. Just goes and burns stuff down because he thought he was in there right. Seeking revenge, the Native Americans carried out an organized attack on the settlers, which they were barely able to repel. Increasing violence and overshorting food supplies made Ralph Lane decide to retreat back to England. The first attempt at colonization failed. Indebted Sir Walter selected a man named John White to lead a second expedition to North America. This group arrived on what is now Roanoke Island in 1587. White led between 112 and 121 families and individuals to the island with the hopes of being a new life for themselves. Settling the land proved to be quite a challenge, but Governor White remained optimistic. Not long after their arrival, White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, gave birth to her daughter. Virginia Dare, the first English child born on North American soil. Eager to uh, fortify the settlement, White decided a supply run to England was necessary. Not long after the arrival in England, however, the country went to war with Spain. The war postponed White's trip back to the colony until August 18th of 1590. Now we're going to talk about these people that have vanished. The whole colony, all these people just up and disappeared. No trace of a war or anything with the Indians or nothing. They just gone. So let's talk about that. Excited to be reunited with his family, John White returned to Roanoke Island, only to be met with the sheer bewilderment. The fort and the Connolly's houses were damaged but still standing. The entire colony itself had vanished, including White's daughter and granddaughter. A single word, Crawtone, had been carved into a nearby tree. It was the only clue they found. Historians who believe that Roanoke colonists integrated themselves into the local Native American tribes also tend to believe that the Eleanor Dare was among one of them. Legend has it that Eleanor, along with her daughter Virginia, were worried about John White that he would never return with fresh supplies to the colony, and they had to rely on the locals in order to survive. Several years passed. Virginia Dare, now a grown woman, got into some type of quarrel with one of the Native Americans. Not knowing the man in question was concerned to possess his magical powers, the Native Americans is said to have put a curse on Virginia that would become immediately following her death. When, where, and how Virginia died continues to remain a mystery. But the legend states that upon her death, Virginia's spirit became permanently trapped in the body of a white doe. To this day, people visit Roanoke Island in the hopes of seeing this now famous doe. Many people claim to have many people have claimed to have seen her wandering around the island, forever trapped. We're going to talk about the Roanoke Island Inn now. The now infamous island is haunted by more than just lost colonists, however. During the 1860s, Asa Jones and his wife, Martha, built a modest yet charming building on the island. It quickly became a bed and breakfast which remains in business to this day. Sorry if I'm coughing in the mic like that, guys. It's been passed down within the family. A man named Roscoe Jones owned the inn at some point after Asa had passed away. In addition, in running the inn, Roscoe was also employed by the U.S. Postal Service and is said to have been taking great pride in his work. He served as a postman in the town of Montejo for several years until, quite unexpectedly, he was let go from his position. Anyways, he was let go from his position, and legend has it that he haunts the inn. You know, that seems like a real common thing, though. I mean, think about somebody spends all their life going to one place all the time and doing the same thing. It's kind of like, man, they kind of get attached to the place. You know, I've noticed that with a lot of people that work places for a long time. Their spirit comes back and haunts it. All right. Let me get a drink and we'll go to the next story. All right. Okay, our next story is Teacher's Hole. And the name of this story is called Blackbeard's Ghost. On Ocracoke Island is a small channel of water known as Teacher's Hole. This inlet is reported to be the spot where the pirate Edward Teach, better known as Blackbeard, preferred to anchor his ship. He also is said to be where he met his end. And some say his ghost haunts the spot still to this day. Blackbeard roamed the Atlantic from 1716 to 1718, robbing ships from the West Indies to the Carolinas. He had a reputation for unbearable ferocity. When Blackbeard went into the battle, he strapped multiple pistols and multiple swords to his body. Most frightening of all, he wove fuses into his long black beard and set them on fire just before he stepped on the captured ship. The towering figure, armed to the teeth, sporting a sparking flaming beard, must have been absolutely terrifying. Ship's captains were surrendered without a shot being fired. Blackbeard's regime on the high seas came to an end on November 2nd of 1718. The Virginia governor, Alexander Spotswood, sent a ship commanded by John Maynard down to the North Carolina coast to track down and kill Blackbeard. Maynard surprised Blackbeard, and a skeleton crew anchored at Teach's Hall. In the furious battle that followed, Blackbeard was shot 5 times and stabbed no less than 20. The pirate crew was all killed or captured. Blackbeard's head was chopped off and hung from the bowsprit of Maynard's ship. Man, that's fucked up. Guy was running around with someone's head chopped off on his boat. I guess it was to give a message to the other pirates, to stop. Because back then there was a lot of pirates that roamed the seas, stealing and taking. The pirate's headless body was thrown overboard, and legend has it that the headless body swam around Maynard's ship 3 times before sinking below the waters. Wow, that's crazy. I wonder if that really happened. Ever since then, it's sad that Blackbeard's ghost haunts the spot known as Teacher's Hole. Many people have reported seeing a strange light moving beneath the water in the cove. The ghostly light is thought to be some to Blackbeard's spirit, swimming through the waters and searching for his missing head. There are those who believe that on a stormy night you can hear Blackbeard's voice calling out in the wind. On nights that the angry wind is roaring and the hard rain is coming down, many people have heard a horrible roaring coming from its hidden cove. They say that it is a unearthly noise that sounds like a pained human's voice bellowing, "Where's my head?" That's what they say they hear. While his reign of terror of the seas was short, the Blackbeard's legend lives on the legends of the North Carolina. We're also learning even more about that's frightening pirate every day. Ever since the discovery of the wreck of the Queen Anne's Revenge, archaeologists and historians have been working on recovering and restoring artifacts from its sunken ships, captained by the notorious pirate. And where discoveries fascinated details of what life was like in the 18th century pirate ship. While Blackbeard's legend has gone down in history, these stories may be a fact of history being written by the winners. Except for the final battle, there's no record of Blackbeard ever having been killed by anyone, or there's no record of him killing anybody. The show with massive arsenal and flaming beard may have been enough designed to avoid a fight. Blackbeard seems to have understood that having a reputation of being a bloodthirsty murderer could save the trouble of actually being a bloodthirsty murderer. And while pirates are considered the bad guys of history, it's hard not to sympathize with the pirates over the British Navy. Pirates' crews were better treated and better paid than Navy crews. Furthermore, pirates' crews were on their ships by choice. Once opposed to the Navy crews, many whose members would have been preceded into the service. Pirate ships were also essentially institutionalized. The pirate captains would be elected by the crew. They generally selected on the basis of fairness and leadership. The captain's decision on where and when to sail would be put to a vote. His authority became absolutely only during the battle. This was the stark contrast to the British Navy at the time, where the captaincies of the ship were based more on being born to the right family than one any ability to really knowing how to run a fucking ship. It's also important to remember what pirates were stealing from whom. A large portion of the vessels passing through the Atlantic at this time were holding enslaved humans as cargo. When intercepting a slave ship, pirate crews would routinely free those otherwise destined for their life of misery. These men would be offered the opportunity to join the ship's crew, with chances of them being able to return home being tragically small. It's an offer many of them took up. Records show that as much as half of any given pirate ship's crew in the early 18th centuries would have been composed of freed Africans. Even Blackbeard's trusted second in command would die fighting with him at Teachers Hall once his man at Teachers Hall was one of these men, known as only as Black Caesar. While many pirates did kill and plunder, they were killing and plundering from people who were themselves killers, or themselves killing and plundering, enslaving and exploiting land which had been invaded and were held by force. What seemed too often the authorization so much about the pirates was not their tactics, but that somebody else was getting a cut of their action. Yes, so that whole area, like I said, when storms are coming in, they can hear his voice saying, "Where's my head?" That'd be pretty creepy. And sometimes there's been known to see his ghost ship. So, yeah, that sounds pretty cool too, man. But all right, guys, hope you enjoyed the show today, man. Have a great Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Sorry I was late today. Had a bunch of storms come in this weekend, but hopefully next weekend it will be on a Saturday. It will be on time at 3 in the morning. So, yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. I enjoyed it. Remember to go to YouTube and look up Ghost Stories Told from the South. You can see my channel there. Don't forget to look on Spotify and iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. I'm pretty much everywhere now, guys. So check them all out. Look for me. I hope wherever you're hearing this, you're loving it. And hey, wherever you live, man, I'm serious. Y'all start sending me some stuff to research too if you want me to do something like that. It'll be no problem. But I hope you guys are good. You'll have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your Mother's Day. And don't be too scared now. See you later, man. Bye.